The man accidentally noticed that the front legs of this racehorse, worth millions, were slightly warm. With years of horse training experience, Ben determined that if Soñador continued to race, she would suffer irreversible damage. He quickly reported the situation to his boss, Palmer, but blinded by profit, Palmer insisted on letting Soñador race in order to please the prince.
I've spent millions of dollars developing a stable of horses for Prince Tariq so they can beat his brother. Now, I know you've got big plans, but just do your job, okay?
All the riders were ready, and with the sound of the bell, the race officially began. As a two-time defending champion and the crowd favorite, Soñador's speed and power were outstanding, and if nothing unexpected happened, she would undoubtedly win this race. However, halfway through the race, disaster struck. Soñador suddenly lost balance on her front hoof. Just like that, Soñador was forced to withdraw from the race. Back at the stable, Ben blamed Palmer for ignoring his warning, but Palmer shamelessly turned it back on Ben, claiming it was Ben who insisted on letting Soñador compete. After the doctor's examination, it was revealed that Soñador had fractured the cannon bone in her right leg, and as a racehorse, she had lost all value. Seeing this, Palmer decided to have her disposed of. Ben could not stand Palmer's attitude.
They're men, Palmer. They got names.
As a result, Ben and his two assistants were fired, and at that point, he immediately demanded the $9,000 Palmer owed him, but Palmer was only willing to pay $6,000. Looking at the fallen Soñador, Ben quickly made a decision.
I'll take the $6,000 and the horse.
Palmer immediately agreed to Ben's request because in his eyes, Soñador was nothing more than a worthless horse. But Ben never imagined that this decision would change the fate of his entire family. Ben took Soñador to his own stable, hoping his father would help, because Pop had once healed a horse with a shattered leg many years ago.
Put her down.
The next day, Soñador's test results came back, confirming a spiral fracture. Even if healed, she would never return to the track. But Ben still refused to give up, because from the beginning, he had another plan.
You know who this horse is sired by? Dreamcatcher.
It turned out Soñador's bloodline had once earned over $3 million, and if she could recover and be bred, a good purebred foal could sell for as much as $300,000. Hearing this, the two assistants decided to stay, and Ben's father also looked at him differently for the first time. Together they worked to suspend Soñador for recovery. The happiest of all was Kale. For the first time, the family had a horse of their own. Every day after school, she would rush to the stable and watch Soñador quietly through the fence. To get a closer look, she brought a bucket to stand on, but the door was not locked. Hearing the noise outside, Ben rushed over, and after making sure his daughter was safe, he scolded her.
What were you doing? She's not a pet, Kale. She's what I do for work now, so you're gonna have to leave her be, all right?
Sorry.
Afterward, Kale turned and walked away. Late at night, Kale took ice cream from the fridge and brought it to the stable to feed Soñador. From the first time they met, she had noticed Soñador loved sweets. Her father, lying in the stable, clearly saw it all, but he did not stop this friendly exchange. The next day, Ben began repairing the farm's fence. Though he had lost his job, it gave him more time to spend with his daughter. He told Kaylee that they had once owned over 200 acres of land, one of the largest farms at the time, with mares just like Soñador, and her grandfather supported the family by selling the foals.
She wanted to keep the yearlings and race them.
Well, it got kind of hard. Watching horses born on this farm go on win big races for somebody else.
But now, to survive, Ben had sold off the land, leaving almost nothing left. This was also the root of the rift between him and his father. Watching her father's back as he walked away, Kale realized that her dad had once been a young man full of dreams. After a month of careful care, Soñador could finally stand on her own. Ben quickly called the doctor to examine Soñador, and when he learned that she was recovering well, everyone was overjoyed. The next step was to find a good stallion for Soñador. At Bill's farm, Kale excitedly looked at every horse. Each of them had won countless championships, and she knew all their names by heart. Soon, Bill came over, and he presented Ben with the largest stallion in the world.
What is that?
This here's Thunderpants.
Ben knew this was Bill playing a joke on him, but the next horse to appear was truly a magnificent champion, tall and powerful with a coat that shimmered in the sunlight. However, before Ben had time to be happy, Bill told him that the breeding fee was $15,000, while the normal price was $200,000, meaning they had already given him an extremely low discount. But Ben looked troubled, because he simply did not have the money. Father and daughter returned home in disappointment. Because Palmer had blacklisted him, Ben was shut out of the industry, and to pay for breeding Soñador, he considered selling off the last of his land. At that moment, Cale brought out a coffee can her grandfather had given her. Inside was $20,000 in savings. But instead of joy, Ben was angry. He went to confront his father.
Breed the horse, Ben. Picking up that filly was the gutsiest thing I've seen you do in years.
Don't talk to me about guts. I took the biggest swing I could and I struck out.
And you gave up?
I broke, Pop!
Because you're a horseman.
Oh, no, blow
Are
smoke.
you gonna spend your life shoveling horse squat for shakes? Or are you gonna get back in the game?
In the end, Ben was moved by his father's words. He accepted the money, but warned him never again to fill Cale's head with horse stories. But fate played another cruel trick. Just as Ben was preparing to take Soñador to the farm, the veterinarian arrived with bad news. Palmer, in order to make Soñador run faster, had already had her sterilized, making all their efforts meaningless. Back home, Ben was devastated. He had poured in so much time and energy, only for it all to be wasted. But his wife Lily disagreed, because since Soñador's arrival, for the first time in years, she felt their family was whole again, and her husband and daughter were closer than ever.
For the first time in years. Can't you see how much she wants to be with you? That does not mean that you have to disappoint her.
It has nothing to do with my fault.
No, it has everything to do with your father.
You're wrong. The truth is, Cale hadn't have been with me that night. I'd have left that horse on the track. I'd let him put the horse down, and I'd still have my job.
Cale, who had just arrived, overheard every word. Heartbroken, she ran back to her room and refused to respond no matter how they called after her. Ben thought his daughter was just throwing a tantrum and would eventually be fine. Cale worried that her father would abandon Soñador, so she packed a backpack full of candy and secretly went to the stable. But just as she was about to escape with Soñador, Ben, who came to feed the horse, happened to witness this scene.
Stop!
Soñador carried Cale and broke through the fence, and Ben quickly jumped into his pickup truck to chase them. To his surprise, Soñador, running at full speed, showed no signs of her previous leg injury, reaching a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. Ben immediately accelerated past Soñador and stopped ahead of her.
I got you. You all right? You okay? You all right? You okay? Huh?
This experience brought the relationship between father and daughter even closer. Manolin and Balan chased Soñador back, and they told Ben that during the chase, Soñador ran faster and faster, proving she already had the ability to compete again. So Ben called the veterinarian once more, and after the examination it was discovered that Soñador's right leg had miraculously healed completely, and with proper training she might even return to the racetrack. This news was truly uplifting, and the next day, Ben began testing her. Although Soñador managed to finish one lap, she was still not used to that leg after her recovery, and her results were far worse than before. Pop suggested letting Soñador participate in a real race, which might excite her, and Ben agreed.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
So Soñador entered her first race since recovery and won third place. Cale and her mother were overjoyed, but Ben and his two assistants were disappointed, because with Soñador's level of talent, such a result felt terrible. At that moment, a staff member walked over and handed Ben a claim form.
Claim? What? You gotta be kidding me.
Claim.
Before the race, Ben had listed Soñador for sale at $15,000, never expecting that someone would actually buy a horse that had once broken her leg. Back at the stable, Cale was heartbroken. Ben explained that he never intended to sell Soñador, but Cale did not believe him.
He said I'd always have Soñador. He stood right there and said it. You raced her and she got claimed.
Well, welcome to the world of horse racing, Cale, where everything doesn't end up the way you want it to.
She wasn't for sale.
Every racehorse everywhere in the world right now is for sale. Get that.
She wasn't just some racehorse. She was our horse.
Ben was left speechless, realizing he had become the very kind of man he hated most. One day, Ben attended his daughter's parent meeting, and there for the first time he truly understood her heart. When it was his turn, the teacher asked him to read Cale's essay. Once there was a king who owned rich lands. Then a dark knight invaded his kingdom. But the king was a warrior, and he knew that as long as he found his magical horse, he could lead his kingdom back to greatness.
The horse took him over mountain ranges and across raging rivers. When it finally looked like they would die, the horse asked him to trust him. The king didn't know if the horse had really spoken to him or he just hadn't had anything to eat in a few days. Not soon after, the horse attempted to climb a mountain so steep the king was sure it would be their deaths. But the horse reached the top. And at the top they found his kingdom restored. All those who loved him greeted the king with pie and coffee.
Ben realized the king was himself. The people were his family. The dark night was the hardships they had faced, and the magical horse was Sonyador. When he returned home, Ben sincerely apologized to his daughter. Cale finally forgave her father. The next day, Ben bought Sonyador back.
Sonia! You came home!
Then he brought out a document giving 51% of the shares to Cale, keeping 39% for himself, and splitting the remaining 10% between his two assistants, making Cale the new owner of Sonyador. From then on, every day before 5 in the morning, Cale would wake up early. But because she lacked experience in training, Sonyador never fully regained her peak condition, so she asked her father to help.
10%.
20.
15.
Done.
Sign here.
Under his careful guidance, Cale improved quickly, and the bond between father and daughter grew stronger. One night, Cale suddenly announced that she would take Sonyador to compete in the Breeders' Cup with a prize of $14 million. Ben did not say anything, but deep down he thought it was unrealistic. He shared his thoughts with his wife, but she had a different opinion.
Remember dreams? This one's Kale's. Help her live it.
I want to, though. I do. I'm just saying that this isn't gonna happen, that's all, honey.
So what? So what? Just let it take her as far as it can.
All right.
Cale found the best jockey for Sonyador, and that was Manolin. He had once been an excellent rider, but during a race just before reaching the finish line, his left foot accidentally slipped out of the stirrup. When he fell to the ground, he was trampled by 3 horses and broke 4 ribs. Since then, Manolin had never raced again, and he was not sure he could handle the job, but Cale believed in him completely. Thus, a unique racing team was born. But on the day of registration, Cale faced another difficulty because to qualify for the race, not only did the horse have to be outstanding, but they also needed to pay a huge entry fee.
But to enter this horse in this race is going to be a fee of $40,000.
I mailed it.
Sonyador belongs in this race. Now, there's another $80,000 in fees that's going to be due on October the 26th. You prepared for that?
So mail it to you.
Yes, sir, I am.
Final selection will be at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
That night, Ben picked up his wife from work and told her about Cale's performance at the meeting, and when she learned the entry fee was $120,000, she smiled happily.
Why are you smiling?
I feel like I'm on a date.
The next day, the results were announced, and Sonyador made it into the Breeders' Cup by a single vote. That night, while everyone was celebrating, Palmer came to the farm, fully aware of Sonyador's strength, and in order to guarantee the prince's victory, he offered $20,000 to buy Sonyador, but Ben rejected him without hesitation. So Palmer doubled the offer to $40,000.
Are we done here?
Not my horse, Everett.
Well, what do you say, honey?
I'm not selling her.
When they still refused, Palmer put the cash away and pulled out a check for $100,000, promising Ben could return to his job. Faced with such a tempting offer, Ben began to waver.
Dad?
If it was me, I'd tell him to take his money and his empty trailer and get the hell off our farm. That's just me.
Elias Boy's a favorite. And when he wins a cup, it'll be my 5th horse of the year.
You think Elias Boy remembers what Sonia's butt looks like?
Why?
Because it's all it's going to be seeing of her on race day.
Ben asked everyone for help, but no one was willing to invest in a horse that had once broken her leg, and just as Cale was ready to give up, Ben thought of an idea. He took Cale to the residence of Prince Satyr, who had long competed with his brother, but unfortunately his horse had not been selected, and Cale's performance at the meeting had left a deep impression. So Prince Satyr asked Cale a question.
You look me in the eye and you tell me you think your horse has a chance of beating my brother's horse.
My horse will beat every horse that shows up.
And with that, they successfully secured Prince Satyr's sponsorship. But that night Ben felt worried, because up until then, no mare had ever won the Breeders' Cup.
You're taking your kid and your horse to the Breeders' Cup tomorrow. Because that's the dream of every real horseman. It's the dream of every father. Dream damn few ever get to see.
The next day, Palmer arrived with his horse, and when Goliath Boy saw Sognador, he raised his front hooves and began provoking her. But Sognador was not afraid, and she responded in the same way, throwing the scene into chaos. When people finally managed to separate them, Ben nervously touched Sognador's front leg, and his worst fear had come true. Her leg was hot again. He asked Balan to take Sognador back to the stable, his emotions on the verge of breaking, unable to understand why it had to happen at that moment, in the same place.
Are you afraid? Are you afraid that we're going to come in dead last?
Then Balan came over and told Ben that no matter how they tried to lead her, Sognador refused to return to the stable. Even when Ben himself tried to lead her, Sognador still refused to go back.
I don't know. Something about the ground shaking. She must have run.
After that, Ben took the last $258 he had and bet on Sognador to win. Even at 80-to-1 odds, he still believed she would take the championship. The race began, and with the sound of the bell, 14 top racehorses charged forward side by side. Palmer's Goliath Boy rushed to the front, while Sognador was left far behind. But as the race went on, Sognador's condition grew stronger, and just as she was about to pass Goliath Boy, Manolin's foot slipped from the stirrup once again, just as it had in countless nightmares.
First quarter, 22-1.
At this point, the film came to an end, and in Dreamer, we saw not only an inspirational story but also a song dedicated to ordinary dreamers. In this fast-paced age, too many people give up their dreams because of life's hardships, but the story of Ben and Cale tells us that as long as there is light in our hearts and a path beneath our feet, an ordinary life can still shine brightly. This film gives us not only emotion, but also the courage to keep moving forward. When we face difficulties in life, we might think of the injured racehorse Sognador and the brave girl Cale chasing her dream. Perhaps in each of our hearts, there is a horse waiting to run free.